Throughout history, entire empires have risen because of one commander and collapsed because of another. Some won battles against impossible odds. Others conquered lands so vast that they changed the map of the world. And a few developed strategies that armies still study centuries later. But who truly deserves to be called the greatest? Is it the Mongol strategist who carried his armies across continents? The king who destroyed the Persian Empire? Or the commander whose speed and battlefield tactics turned him into a legend? In this video, we rank 5 of history's greatest military commanders by the scale of their victories, the strength of their enemies, the brilliance of their strategies, and the impact they left on the world. The countdown begins now. At number 5 is a commander whose name is often overshadowed by Genghis Khan, even though many of the Mongol Empire's greatest victories were shaped by his strategies. His name was Subutai. Born outside the royal family, Subutai rose through skill, discipline, and an extraordinary understanding of warfare. He believed that information was as powerful as any weapon. His scouts studied roads, rivers, enemy positions, and escape routes long before the main army arrived. His strategy relied on speed, deception, and coordination. Mongol forces often pretended to retreat, drawing their enemies away from strong positions before turning back and attacking from several directions. In 1223, at the Battle of the Kalka River, Subutai used this method against a coalition of Rus's princes. After leading the enemy into a long pursuit, the Mongols turned and destroyed the exhausted and scattered forces. Then, in 1241, he helped lead the Mongol invasion of Central Europe. At the Battle of Mohi, Mongol forces attacked the main bridge over the Sajol River, while other units crossed from a different direction. The Hungarian army was caught by surprise and overwhelmed. Subutai's greatest strength was his ability to coordinate armies across enormous distances, making separate forces move as if they were one. His campaigns helped turn the Mongol army into one of the most effective military forces in history. But at number 4 is a commander who achieved something even more extraordinary. He defeated the Persian Empire and built a vast empire before the age of 33. At number 4 is a commander who inherited a kingdom and turned it into one of the largest empires the ancient world had ever seen. His name was Alexander the Great. In 334 BC, Alexander crossed into Asia and began his war against the Persian Empire. His first major victory came at the Granicus River, where he defeated Persian forces and opened the way into Asia Minor. But the real test came a year later at Issus. The Persian king Darius III commanded a much larger army, yet Alexander used the narrow battlefield to limit the Persian advantage. Then he led a direct attack toward the center of the enemy line. When Darius fled, the Persian army began to collapse. Alexander continued south and faced one of the most difficult sieges of the ancient world. The island city of Tyre believed its walls made it impossible to conquer. But Alexander ordered the construction of a massive causeway across the sea. After months of fighting, the city fell. In 331 BC, Alexander faced Darius again at Gaugamela. This time, the Persian army had chosen a wide-open battlefield and prepared it for a massive cavalry attack. But Alexander created an opening, led his cavalry through it, and once again forced Darius to retreat. The victory ended Persian control over much of the ancient world. Before his death at the age of 32, Alexander had marched farther than any Macedonian king before him and created an empire stretching from Greece to parts of India. But the commander, at number 3, did not inherit an empire. He built his power through war and defeated armies across Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. At number 3 is a commander who built an empire through ambition, strategy, and relentless warfare. His name was Timur, known in the West as Tamerlane. Born in Central Asia, Timur rose during a time of political division and turned Samarkand into the center of a growing empire. His armies relied on fast cavalry, careful planning, and coordinated attacks that allowed him to defeat powerful rivals across Asia and the Middle East. In 1398, Timur invaded northern India and defeated the forces of the Delhi Sultanate. But his greatest victory came in 1402, when he faced the powerful Ottoman Sultan Bayezid I near Ankara. Timur carefully prepared the battlefield and used his cavalry to pressure the Ottoman army from several directions. As the battle continued, parts of Bayezid's forces changed sides and the Ottoman army collapsed. Bayezid himself was captured. The victory at Ankara shocked the region and temporarily stopped Ottoman expansion. Timur had built an empire stretching across much of Central and Western Asia and defeated some of the strongest armies of his age. But at number 2 is the man who united scattered tribes and transformed them into the most powerful conquering force the world had ever seen, Genghis Khan. At number 2 is the man who transformed scattered tribes into the most powerful conquering force of the medieval world. His name was Genghis Khan. Born as Temujin on the harsh Mongolian steppe, he grew up surrounded by conflict, rival clans, and constant struggle. But through alliances, leadership, and military victories, he united the Mongol tribes under one banner. Genghis Khan did not build his power through numbers alone. He created a disciplined army, organized into units of 10, 100, 1,000, and 10,000. His commanders were chosen for ability rather than noble birth, while fast communication and skilled scouts allowed his armies to move with extraordinary speed. The Mongols used mounted archers, deception, rapid movement, and coordinated attacks to defeat armies that were often larger and better established. Their forces could cross enormous distances, surround enemy positions, and strike before their opponents understood where the main attack would come from. In 1211, Genghis Khan invaded the Jin Empire in northern China. His armies crossed the Great Wall, defeated powerful field forces, and captured major cities. Then came the war against the Khwarezmian Empire. After a diplomatic dispute led to the deaths of Mongol envoys, Genghis Khan launched a massive campaign across Central Asia. Mongol armies attacked from several directions and captured major cities, destroying the power of an empire that had once controlled vast territories. By the time of his death in 1227, Genghis Khan had created an empire stretching from the Pacific coast to Central Asia. His successors would expand it even farther, creating the largest contiguous land empire in history. But at number 1 is a commander remembered for speed, courage, and a remarkable record of victories, Khalid ibn al-Walid. And at number 1 is a commander whose name became synonymous with speed, courage, and battlefield brilliance, Khalid ibn al-Walid. Before Islam, Khalid was already known as a skilled cavalry commander. But after embracing Islam, his military career entered a completely different chapter. At the Battle of Mu'tah in 629 AD, the Muslim army faced a much larger Byzantine allied force. After 3 commanders were killed, Khalid took command. He reorganized the army and used a carefully planned withdrawal to prevent complete destruction. His leadership allowed the army to escape a battlefield where the odds were heavily against them. His greatest campaigns came during the Muslim conquests of Iraq and Syria. Khalid moved his forces across enormous distances with remarkable speed, appearing where his enemies least expected him. At Walaha, he used a double envelopment maneuver, attacking the opposing army from the front while hidden cavalry struck from behind. The enemy was caught between 2 forces and defeated. Then came the Battle of Yarmouk in 636. Facing a much larger Byzantine army, the Muslim forces endured days of fighting before launching a decisive cavalry counterattack. The Byzantine army was eventually broken, opening the way for Muslim control of much of Syria. Khalid was not simply a warrior who fought from the front. He understood movement, terrain, morale, timing, and deception. His ability to adapt under pressure made him one of the most remarkable commanders of the early medieval world. And that is why, in this countdown, Khalid ibn al-Walid takes the number 1 position, not because every battle was effortless, but because his campaigns demonstrated an extraordinary combination of speed, tactical creativity, and battlefield leadership.